looking at it now, he was looking at it like, no, but he's just floating around and he needs something. And I'm quite a cerebral person as well. Like my mind needs things. That's why that whole philosophy thing gave it all the juice, because it's just studying your own thoughts. And so my dad kind of knew that as well. So he was probably thinking, I know he needs something. And so, yeah, we did get a bit dangerous actually, because I did kind of just become this almost like free floating, just literally like every moment was just all that. That's all I was doing. There's no plans. Like you used to hate it, didn't you?
What?
If there'd be something we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you'd say like, are you coming, Brown? And I'd never be able to say to you, yeah.
Yeah, can I? Yeah.
And I'd always like I'd appear at the last moment and he'd just be like, can't you just fucking say for once that you are going to come on this camping trip or something? I don't know what I'm going to do until I do it.
But I think we were all like saying what Jay was just saying there. Like, even though, like, as I said, like we all had our different lives going on, I genuinely believe that I know that this part of our life was still missing. So even though I was having a great life with the wife and kids, there was still something calling me back here.
It was, the way I would put that is, from looking the outside in, is probably still open wounds that haven't stitched together or something.
This now, like, I can't even express to you the healing, because it always felt like, how and why was the band the way it was? And how did it end the way it did? And why did we feel so sad after it? And why it wasn't, it started off as like, we've won the lottery, this big dream. And not all of it, but some of it turned into a real nightmare that literally for 20 years, we haven't been able to heal, which is kind of why we're back now doing this.
This is counselling, isn't it? This reunion is counselling.
In my, I've no problem in admitting I've had a fair bit of counselling along the way. And I would sit in counselling sessions and when I would speak about Five, it would sadden me when it should have made me happy, because we did have also, with the bits of shit that we also had really good times as well. But I didn't remember many of them good times. I kept on constantly going over the wounds It wasn't, you make it sound like it's an interpersonal thing. It wasn't. It was everything about it, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no.
Not just internal stuff.
Oh, no, everything.
The whole thing, it like everything that we went through, not just us.
Yeah.
The shit that boy bands go through, right? And this is healing us now. So I was really emotional, and every interview that we've done, I'm healing, and don't get quite as emotional. I'm not crying all the time. I was very close to tears and crying a lot because I wasn't healed. Every day we're healing. It feels amazing.
What was the ambition? Let's go around the table. Say, Abs. So let's start with you, Jay. What was the ambition for you when you were a young lad, before you met these guys?
I'd been writing and making music since, I don't know, like messing around from sort of 8, 9 years of age. And then by the time I was kind of 11, 12, 13, I've kind of got a basic studio set up, and I was really into hip hop. And all I wanted to do, and it's all I thought that my life was supposed to be, I just wanted to make some for myself, but I just wanted to get a studio, full on studio like we've all worked in now, and just write and produce music. And that was the whole impetus for me coming into that, because I never saw myself being in that kind of pop sort of boy band, which fed into some of the issues I had when I was in the band. Sometimes I had a bit of a sense of embarrassment of what I was doing, because it wasn't quite the thing I wanted to be doing. So I really saw that that's what my life was going to be. And when that didn't happen, when I was about 18, 19 years of age, I went into like a real fucking deep hole with it. Because I was still living in this sort of little town up north, little depressing town up north. And I was like, oh shit, I'm like nearly 20 years old now, and it's not happened. And it's all I thought I was supposed to do. So I got really, really severely depressed. Did something a bit stupid that fortunately didn't work out. And then I went to the audition for this just to get me out of that hole, thinking I'll never get in one of those kind of bands.
Okay.
And
is that movie you did before this available still? Is it not one of them ones? I see. Okay, cool.
So I guess then you in the band, I'm kind of getting to know you a little bit on the fly here. So that character you had in the band. You were the tough guy. Was that you slightly rebelling a little bit, or was that you kind of going, I don't want to be in a cheesy pop band. I'm bigger, tougher, I'm more than this.
Yeah, it was all just, you know, I was young, like 20 years of age. It was a certain attitude that I actually carried with me from like where I lived as well. Like just prior to getting into the band, like, you know, you got to that age where I lived anyway, you'd kind of get into little bits of trouble when you were coming out of clubs and stuff. And I carried that sort of attitude with me into the band. And a lot of it was to do with me. And a big thing as well, and the guys know it as well, is I didn't have much confidence in myself, like what I was doing. It was like I did what I did before the band, but then my place in the band, because I thought these four, like really talented, they've come from a background of kind of singing and some sort of performing arts, when I just really hadn't done anything really.
I didn't do any performing arts.
Yeah, but you're an amazing fucking singer, mate. And he came from that sort of thing. So I didn't have this confidence as well. I did from a
Celebrate that.
Like I knew that I was talented in my way, but within this whole thing, I wasn't. So that sort of brought a side out of me as well, where I sort of had to puff my chest out a bit more because I didn't really have.
And do you know what?
You were equally as talented.
Yeah.
You should have known that.
100%. But we've only spoken about this recently. Like we've been sat around and he's like, well, yeah, some of my sort of behaviors and stuff came from this insecurity. So I'd peacock but it come across as aggressive, and you guys were younger than me. And it's like aha moments, like years later, you're like, I get it. So like in you know, the adult 40-odd-year-old people we are, would have given him a hug now and gone, dude, it's cool, like, you know. But I think we
capacity.
No,
to have we didn't have the awareness.
we didn't realise.
So
I was obviously at the time like bigger and I was older, and I did carry myself in a certain way. And these were younger, so when I'd be like you were saying about when you're in the football changing rooms and there's certain ways guys behave, and it's just like that's just what, like that's sort of things that happen with myself and my mates up north sometimes, and then you'd kind of 2 minutes later you'd just be like, oh, you dick.
Yeah.
So I'd be like that sometimes because I'd either be stressed out or scared, and I'd act like that towards one of these, not seen from that perspective that I'm kind of bigger, I'm older. They think I'm this kind of dude who's probably going to try and lay someone out, which I never would. Yeah. So I'd act like that, not seeing how intimidating that would be. And then I'd kind of walk away from that, and then it'd be gone. And I'm not knowing that I'm leaving in their minds like this fucking dude might just fucking twat me at some point for no reason. And, you know, that's been really horrible, like learning. That all came out of, you know, this sort of big reunion program when I was kind of saw that. And I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm the major victim here because they're saying shit that didn't happen because I didn't bully anybody. But then when I've now as a man and I'm looking at that perspective, of course I see that, like that would have been intimidating. But like it's explained to them all, and they all know now, I wasn't bullying in the sense of like, I'll fucking show you who's the man here. It was nothing to do with that, but I obviously couldn't see that at that point.
And as well, something like the big reunion, and you brought it up, it's a TV show, so they want those moments, don't they? So they want.
When I don't turn up, there's a narrative for it as well.
No, Nicky, we did 5-hour interviews. Do you know what I mean? And we said, you know, I said lots of positive things about him, but they didn't put one in.
That show, unfortunately, is what caused the rift that kind of myself and Rich and myself and Rich after the band were really close, man. Like we lived in each other's houses and travelled with each other. And that program, unfortunately, when I saw that, was what caused the rift of like me not speaking with Scott, not speaking with Sean, not speaking with Rich for all that time. Because I was just like, why have they said that stuff? Because I couldn't understand it.
Yeah. And somebody like you, sorry, Scott, someone like you who just explained how you are as a person, you don't need that. That drives you further into
cerebral and a very, like we all are, a very like heart-driven, emotional person. Like that whole image people got when I was younger. You know, it was just that was like a young bravado thing. Like I'm a real thinker and like my heart as well. So that stuff really, really, like they know because we've spoken about it.
We've cried about it.
That damaged me up until we just started speaking. Like I thought about it every day of my life, and I mean every day.
And did you ever think about reaching out to one of them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I wanted to. I like I said to him, well, like I had anger about it. But it's like, because Scott said when we all met up, he said, you know, at first I did have this thing where I was like, like, are we all going to be mates again? And I said to him, mate, I knew the second we were in each other's presence, like, because there's so much love between us all. Like, I never lost love for them. They're like them fucking brothers. Like, I'd walk through fire for any of them, even after that thing. And that's why that hurt me so much, because I didn't understand the perspective as well. And it was like, my family have just said that sort of shit about me.
But when you come and speak to someone, when you're not picking up the phone, and I haven't phoned Jay or vice versa, I can't say. It was one conversation we had when we meet back up. I said loads of really lovely things about you that have hit the cutting room floor. And when I watched the program, The Big Reunion, I watched it and I was like, I've said that.
But they're going to put...
But it doesn't matter, because in a minute, I'm going to see myself saying...
It's got to balance out here.
It's going to balance itself out, because now you're going to see me going, yeah, but we had some really lovely times. And he'll go, well, what he said there was true.
Yeah.
And, he said something nice now, and it'll balance itself out. And it never did. And even I watched it, and it was like, literally every time the camera pointed at me, I went, Jay's a cock.
And equally, had Jez, but as Jez stood there, sat there and sort of expressed his vulnerabilities, his mistakes. The Big Reunion was a long time ago, and we can't just blame it on the show.
No.
Blame it on editors. We have to take responsibility for how we expressed ourselves then.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it any different. Like, he couldn't do it any different in the 90s.
Yeah.
If it was now, I wouldn't express it in that way.
No.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't even see it that way. Because I've got compassion. It's not because I've spoken, it's just because I've grown.
Yeah.
And I've got compassion, and I understand. And it's so clear to me now why he sometimes behaved in certain ways.
Yeah.
And it's so clear to me why I would receive it that way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's not his pain or his fear or my pain or my fear. There was just loads of pain, loads of fear and joy, but it was just madness.
Yeah. And we've all basically fully owned all of I fully own, spoken with all of them. And I fully owned that side of me that I saw now how it came across and the damage that it did, and which breaks my heart to think that that's what was coming across. And all the guys have said exactly what Sean's just said. We've kind of owned that we could have said that better or not said that. And it's just the air was always going to be cleared.
It's about forgiving each other and yourself.
Yeah.
You were children.
Yeah. The thing that possessed me about that.
You from the outside, right? Because obviously, you were in a different band. How was it watching us? From your perspective, how did it look?
It was fucking brilliant watching you implode.
No, not just the implosion, but how did it...
It was like, we're going to be the biggest. No, I'm joking. Go ahead, Rich.
No, how did it look? How did it look? Because I know we must have looked so chaotic.
Yeah, no, you did. I said it to you, Scott. We used to hear, not only did it look chaotic, when we see we were built to be rivals, first of all, same label, you were a year or two ahead, whatever, a year ahead of us, signed to Simon Cowell. But we'd be in the office. I said to you, Scott, as well on the podcast a few months back, when we saw you on Top of the Pops, we hadn't got a deal yet. And you were singing that song. It was a great song. You look great. And we were coming from an era of loving the Backstreet Boys and Boyzone and Take That when we were kids and New Kids. Everything had gone before. And then we saw you guys and we were thinking, right, well, Spice Girls were the girls that were just kind of maybe finishing at that point. Yous were huge, becoming huge. And we were like, right, well, we've got a big job to do. Not even that we had a deal. We were like, we want to be like them. We want to be as big as them. Then when we got the deal with Simon Cowell, it was the same label as you guys. And Cowell was very clever in this respect because he had the bad boys and he went, I want the good boys and I want them to sing ballads. Now we were dancing, we were like the Backstreet Boys in our rehearsals and, we were doing all the boy band moves and everything. And then all of a sudden we get to Cowell, but he did produce, Deliver Us, Swear It Again, Fly Me Without Wings, If I Let You Go, all these massive, we were in Steve Mack and we still keep in touch with Steve. In fact, we're seeing him next week. And Steve and Wayne Hector will say, that was a crest of a wave when they were starting their songwriting career. Yeah. And they were given this band to go, these are going to be brilliant. They're all great singers. Go get them in there, sing all these songs. So we just exploded. And then we kind of, yous were big, we were big. And then we would hear, I'm not going to mention names, right? But we would hear people in the label and in the industry going, let's just say there's a Coke con thrown at Scott's head today, Top of the Pops. Who threw it? Jay threw it. And you're like, fuck yeah. You know, and then we'd be going on going, I'm never going to. But you'd be going, five after killing themselves backstage. So you'd hear it all the time. Then we'd go to America and I'd hear from the label. I'll say his name. I can edit this out. Andrew Berkowitz. I still keep in touch with Andrew. He's a great guy. He loves you guys. Still loves you guys. And he gone, like, we get them to New York. We get them, and they'd be fighting on the. They'd be fighting in the dress. They'd be fighting, and then I'd be like, that's five. We hear it all the time.
But it was like that.
But I suppose probably maybe you were worse than everybody else fighting. Maybe you were having more arguments is what I mean. But my point to you as well, Scott, again, sorry to go back to that one, was I was saying we all had arguments every day. But we wouldn't wash that dirty laundry in public. We'd switch on and we probably would be.
It's our strength and our Achilles heel. What you see is what you behind our back, and it's literally it's given us a career and it's taking it away.
And it's giving it back. Abs, so go to you then, Abs. So when it all finishes, the solo career probably doesn't happen. You know, was there a time when you wanted to speak to the guys, or were you like, I just can't stomach that again?
I never really wanted us to end in the first place. It always felt way too early, man. We was sort of just about to hit the stratosphere, it felt like. If we just kept going a little bit longer, but I understand the pressures and everyone's individually having them, wherever it is that's going on. So collectively, it wouldn't have worked like that. But I was just, I mean, after it finished, I kind of just didn't really know where or what the next move was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And kind of just taking it day by day and trying to figure it out. Was that the question? Is that even the question? Yeah.
What were you doing?
Well, it's the answer.
Yeah, in it.
The answer I've given you.
It's true. So yeah, it was more for me just finding my place. And I always felt like I was born to do this. I was Michael Jackson. I was all of that. I come out my mama moonwalking. Do you know what I mean? I'm that kind of guy. I love to perform, love to dance, love to entertain. So yeah, it did feel like it got taken away in a sense. Like that's what I'd reached where I needed to be at. And it just felt too soon for me.
That's interesting because you always wanted, you all always wanted, you wanted it like that. But then when you achieve it in a band of five. So you've four other people you're depending on. And that's a lot of responsibility to each individual.
And you got to share it.
And you got to share, but not even that. It's like, I want to keep doing it, but let's say he doesn't, or he does and he doesn't. And you're going to sit there going...
You are relying on it, and I hate being...
And that's hard because you're going, I'd be on the plane in the morning. I'll do the show tomorrow.
I think I went to Australia and promoed. Still, after these boys did it, they were like, no one turned up. And I was like, I thought we was all meant to turn up, and it was just me, and they were like, do you want to go? I was like, come on in. So I just went off, I did rumba. Do you know what I mean? It was out there with Pink and I was enjoying my life. So it was almost like a little softening blow to the whole thing that was going on. And after that...
After you sent the tweet to the lads and that all ended, you left five and all, did you ever before the reunion, were you ever scrolling through your phone and thinking, see somebody's name and say...
What, these boys?
Yeah.
Nah, I genuinely thought they hated me. I really did. I thought there was no way I'm ever getting back in that band. Forget it. All good. Just get on with it. Make up as you go along. Then I joined another band. Boys on Block with Shannon.
Oh, that's right.
And Ben Nafadu and Dane Bowers. And that kept me going. Bless them. Shout out. They kept me going, man. And I'm so grateful for them because even that was a kind of a struggle for me as well. Like, it wasn't really it's not this. Do you know what I mean? So when this came along, man, I'm like...
I wondered when you were doing that, does he miss us?
Of course.
Does he, like, when you walk out with them and respect to them,
absolutely.
But does he miss it?
Yeah.
Not being front?
Man, I was doing the whole song on my own.
That's what I'm saying.
Chorus, bridge, breakdown.
Yeah.
So how are you doing that on this time?
One bad boy with the power to rock you.
Hearing him say that he thought that, hearing him say, I thought they hated me, but I thought...
But again, it's the lack of communication.
No, he did hate you. No.
I mean, because you haven't had that conversation that me and him had on the phone, within 1 minute or 30 seconds even, I was like, oh, it's still Abs. It's still, it felt, because I've always missed him. And even in the years when we didn't speak, in the 10 years we didn't speak, people would go, oh, what about Abs? I go, oh, I don't know, man. He hates me, obviously, blah, 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 whatever. And then he'd hear him saying that. We spoke on that phone and it was like, he's still my brother. He's still amazing, you know, so...
We've got a mad shared experience, which you'll understand, do you know what I mean? That no one else can understand other than us five. Like, we shared something, we went through something, we just know, you know, you look each other in the eyes and you know.
Us lot get it, and you guys,
Yeah.
and when you've been through it, you get it. Trying to explain it to someone that doesn't.
We can't.
Yeah, it's not how you
Can't
never get
it.
Nah.
Tell me about what you thought of Westlife.
Love you boys.
Honestly,
Love you
like
boys.
water under the bridge now. I'm with a W.